Hello, this is Pete, and in this video I'd like to demonstrate another method for fixing some Revit geometry when there are faces missing. So this is a model that I converted from Inventor to Revit, and everything looks good except I'm missing a little triangular piece of my transitional duct. So not fun. The reason why this happens, if I jump back over to Inventor, and here's the model that generated that particular Revit file, is that if we look at this from the side view, there's a slight overlapping, which is causing some confusion when that model gets regenerated as a Revit geometry. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that there are no tangent gaps or there's no overlapping. So I covered the tangent small gap issue in a different video, and I'll reference that in the description below. But in this case, I have to fix this overlap issue. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the component, and in this component we see that that's the root cause. So I just overlooked it when I first designed this as a multi-body. Not a huge deal, but we need to fix that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my end of part marker, and this is the plane that defines that sketch. So I want to create a new sketch, certainly before that plane. And so I'll go ahead and create a sketch on this surface. And I like that plane where it is, except I want to make sure it's just past that. So we'll project this spline edge, and then I will create a line, say 1 inch tall. The length isn't super critical, and then just because I want to be consistent, I will constrain it so that we get exactly where we want. Or so I can get this fully constrained here. So the next bit is I want to make this tangent to that surface, and there we have that tangency. So realistically what I would like is I want a point that is just offset from that edge. So this would be geometrically that very edge of that bend for the sheet metal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a point here, and I'm going to go ahead and give it some kind of dimension from this edge, and we'll say 10 thousandths. So there's a little bit of a gap there. And then I can horizontally align that like so. So that's going to set the stage to create my work plane, or in my case, edit my work plane definition. So I finished the sketch. I'm going to move my end of part marker back down here, and now I'm going to edit the definition for that plane, which is the basis of that sketch. I'm going to redefine that feature. I used one of these flat surfaces, but now when I want to select where that point is, I'm going to choose that point there. So by running it that way, I can now make sure that there is a small gap. It never is going to overlap, and then they could weld that in place later. So you may want to rename the sketch to like plane alignment sketch or something like that, just to make it so if we ever had to come back and play with that gapping, it would be relatively easy. Of course, we could also make a parameter. So I'll save that. I come back over to my humidifier, and I can right click here at the root level, and I can say check for updates. And it says, hey, there are updates available. Would you like to update? Yes. And when I run those updates, it grabbed from the main assembly and put that little gap in there. So very cool, that's what we want. Now if I go to my environments, my BIM environment, I've already placed the connectors, so I'm not going to go through that again. I'm just going to simply export this, and I'm going to cleverly call this the overlap substitute for, and I'll just say fixed. And that'll grind away for a little bit, so I'll jump back over in Revit when this is done exporting. Okay, so that finished exporting. Took a little bit less than a minute 40 seconds-ish or so. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and find that family, and we're going to import it into Revit, and let's just see the results. So I'll go ahead and place that. Hit escape a couple times, and voila, you can see that by fixing that overlap, we're able to repair that transitional piece, and which is a little bit better visual fidelity when we get into Revit. So I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and have a blessed day.